It's live now? Okay. Just want to make sure the audio is better this time than last time. I'll give it a couple seconds here to jump in, but... Hey, anybody who's joining in? Dwayne Blay here, live from the ODR, the outdoor rink. I'm just trying to fix the audio from last week, so I'm hoping that this is a little bit better. We're on the Total Package Hockey Canada Facebook page, so TPH Training Center Facebook page, as well as National Skill Development Association on Facebook, and then on YouTube as well. So we tried YouTube out today just to see how that is with on YouTube Live. So if you want to check in, if you have any questions or like that, feel free to fire away. I've got some stuff I'm going to talk about here today a little bit. A couple questions that came in this week, and then as well as just a couple skills that we'll touch on, just chat a little bit about how to teach them, and then obviously some of the stuff that we see that maybe has some differences or some different opinions on it. So we'll touch on a couple of those skills, but a couple of things we'll touch on today is hockey IQ, which is always kind of a hot topic button as far as can you teach hockey IQ. So we'll get into that a little bit and how we can do that with our young players and stuff. And then we'll also do some one-timers, talk about breaking that down a little bit, as well as some shooting and stride, and then some evasive footwork if we can get to it. But again, this has no agenda. I know I'm rhyming off skills we're gonna do, but if you have any questions, go ahead and fire away. And anybody who's listening, if you can give me a thumbs up or an okay if the audio is okay. Sounds all right? I'm hoping it's better than last week. Last week when I was skating around, you couldn't hear anything. So I'll try to be as clear as I can when I'm stopped. And then if I'm demonstrating anything, I'll try not to talk too much while I'm doing it. But the first thing, first of all, thanks to anybody who's checking in, and you can come in and out. I'll post all the live after we're done. So I'll post it up on YouTube and I'll post it up on Facebook so people can check into it after if you aren't able to make it. But if you have any questions, again, feel free to fire them in the comments, and we'll answer those as we get going. And again, there's no agenda here, so we can fly anywhere we want as far as any skills that you want to talk about. I'd rather talk about that than mine. Yeah, we got a first question here. This is great.
How can we develop goalie deaks while practicing on their own?
That's really good, actually. Goalie deaks are obviously huge, and even now with shootouts and things like that, obviously you're going to use them more. Biggest thing with goalie deaks, and if there are any goalies listening or any goalie dads or moms, you guys can chime in here, and girls can chime in and let me know what you think. But the biggest thing is adding deception. And when I was fortunate to work with AHL and NHL, the goalie coaches there always said, if you can move the puck east-west and get the goalie moving, you got a better chance of scoring, right? You still see players come in and shoot, but even little fakes, like goaltender's not going to be staring at your eyes. So looking away this way is not really going to sell it to a goaltender, but the blade and the stick and your feet and your legs are going to be huge. So you see some players that add like a little bit of a kick, like they're going to shoot it, right? Little turn of their wrist. So just kind of manipulating that blade a little bit. And even little things like this, coming in off a handle, and then just opening that blade like you're going to shoot it. Getting that goalie to freeze and then pulling it to your backhand or pulling it to your forehand and then shooting. You see a lot of players now coming in like this and then right away pulling quick and then shot. So even working on little pulls and then little shots off that is huge. But adding deception to it. So if you think of deception, unfortunately on a breakaway sometimes you can't really use your head and eyes because like I said, the goaltender's not staring at your head and eyes. They're looking more at your stick and puck. So you're going to have to use your hands, stick, and then your feet. So even, you see a guy like Patrick Kane sometimes will come in and kind of shuffle his feet and then make a move, right? So just trying to throw that goalie off. So think of hands. So just a little kind of snapping your hands like you're going to shoot, manipulating that blade a little bit. So just opening that blade like you're going to shoot it, and then you can add a little pull to it, right? And then using your feet. So you see players just kind of a little fake, little kind of like call it a kickstand, like they're kicking a kickstand, but coming out a little fake and then making that move. But adding little things like that is huge to any young player for sure. Any kind of deception like that will translate into gameplay, but as well as breakouts or breakaways as well. So it's a great question though. All right, we'll touch if there's any questions, just yell them out. So first one here, I got a question from Nick. So Nick Nez sent in, how do you add power to the backhand? So backhand shot, and how do you get it off quick? And I think this is a really good question. And I think, this is my opinion, but I think the backhand of is probably the most neglected piece of any young player's skills. Like they don't like using backhand passes. They don't like shooting off the backhand. So I think the more that we can practice off our backhand, the better. Now, we think of shooting a backhand shot. There's going to be stuff in tight where you're just going to be in here and you're just going to try to get the puck up. So if I'm in here, I'm kind of wide based. I'm just trying to get that puck up. But if we talk about power, so adding power to it and being quick with the shot, like Crosby, think of Crosby, how he comes in and drives it. Well, if you see Crosby when he drives a hard backhand, he gets that throw over and then he pulls hard with the bottom hand. So if you're working on backhands with your players, we always talk about pushing on our forehand shots. Well, now we're going to pull on our backhand shots. So that bottom hand, we want to pull in on that shaft as they're coming in. Blades obviously got to be cupped. And just like our wrist shot, that blade's going to be cupped to start, and then it's going to open up as we finish. So if I want to go high, I'm going to open up a little higher. If I want to go low, I'm going to keep that blade cupped and then follow through. And same thing on our wrist shot. We're going to go heel to middle, right, off our backhand. We can also snap the puck, just like we do on our forehand. When you see Crosby do this all the time, where he pulls it, and then he snaps that puck for that shot. So that's going to add a little bit of speed to that release. The biggest thing for power, though, is going to be our legs. So if I'm coming in to make a move as a lefty, I'm going to come in here. I'm coming in on my backhand now. I'm going to swing my left leg over. So I'm going to come in, swing my left leg over, and now I can drive my power from my back foot to my front foot. So righties would be opposite of that. So if I'm coming in here, I come over it, and then we can add way more power with our legs by transferring from our back foot to front foot. So just to recap real quick, good hand positioning, right? We're going to pull with our bottom hand, keep those hands away from our body so we're not jamming ourselves up, right? And then as I come in, I'm going to drive my left leg over as a lefty, right leg over as a righty. I'm going to come over, pull hard, and then follow through on that shot. And then the speed is going to be that wrist shot off our backhand, heel to middle, and off our snapshot on our backhand, we're going to pull the toe to middle and then snap that puck. So again, just real quick, I bring it back, I drive my leg over, pull, and then follow through with that shot. All right? Real good question by Nick. Thanks a lot for spitting that. I really appreciate it. Next one here is shooting in stride. So we hear this all the time, especially on podcasts, about, oh, man, that was a sick shot. He shot it in stride. What does that really mean? Really means shooting while you're skating, right? So make it really, really simple. You want to try to keep your feet moving. And with young players especially, even older guys and girls, you see them as soon as they attack the blue line, for the most part, what happens to their feet? They stop moving. So they get to the blue line and they're gliding. And then they're going to let their shot go from here, right? We want players to try to keep their feet moving. So even if they catch a bit of a glide, we want them to, if they're gliding, then maybe they step into that shot and then let that shot go. And players to think of right now are guys like McKinnon, who's unbelievable at it. David's really good at it. Obviously, a lot of NHLers are good at it, but those are the kind of high-level players you think of that are really, really good at it, right? So if I'm working a young player on it, just trying to get that timing down. So hands in a good position, and then all I'm going to do is fake like I'm skating, standing still, step, shot. And we should be able to do this off both feet. And it's going to be situational a game, meaning I'm a left-handed shot, so I can shoot off my left foot or my right foot in stride, right? So if I'm on my left foot, I want to shoot on my inside foot here, I'm going to step on my right, I'm going to jump into it, and then shot, step, jump, and just get that timing down. And then what it's going to look like when I actually get it down and shooting it, as I'm coming in here, I'm going to step, and then right away I can shoot that puck. So again, as I'm skating, I'm stepping and then shooting that puck. And if I go off my right foot as a righty, same idea. I'm going to come on my left foot to start, and I'm going to step on my left, right, step on my left, right, step on my left. And if you think of a Matthews who shoots like this, pulls the puck in, steps, and then, pulls the puck in here, steps off his left, and then drives in on his right. That's the kind of shot we're going to have. So I'm coming in here, I'm skating, I pull, and then I try to shoot that puck in stride. So really good question. That was by Steve, and just keeping our feet moving and trying to step into that shot as you're skating. So think about it, just skating. As I step, I'm releasing that puck. Also adds a ton of power to the shot because you can get over that puck, and now you're driving that body weight down on your stick to have a little bit more flex, a little bit more drive on that shot. So great question. Thanks, Steve. That was good. And then I got one more talking about hockey IQ. This is from Wallace. But hockey IQ, obviously, is something that I talk about all the time. And can you teach it? I'm of the belief that, yeah, you can. I think some players have hockey IQ. I think they're very intelligent and they just see the game. They see sports differently. If you had them playing soccer, hockey, basketball, they would see plays differently. They'd be able to make plays a little bit differently than you or I sometimes. But I think you can definitely teach hockey IQ. And a couple ways to do that is watching hockey games. So for young players, I think a lot of times they're looking at clips, they're looking at 15-second goals. I know I do. We're looking at the highlight reels, who scored last night, what was the pass, what did it look like. But having players watch games, and even if it's a period, half a period, a couple shifts, and looking at the shifts, and hopefully being with somebody like a dad, a mom, uncle, brother, who can talk a little bit more than about just the big hits and just the big goals and things like that, but talking about, hey, did you see how that player took that hit to make the play, chipping the puck out, the other player supported underneath, and just kind of getting a little bit more, a better understanding of the game. I think that's huge. And then also players looking at clips of their own game. So looking at their own game and then see, if mom or dad videos it, which we all kind of video our kids now, but letting them look at it and letting them dissect it a little bit rather than telling them what they did wrong or right, having them look at it and just studying the game as we would anything else. If we're trying to study for a math test, a science test, or learning something about investing. We're going to go and do some research on it. Same thing with learning hockey IQ and getting smarter with the game of hockey. You got to digest the game. You got to figure the game out. You got to watch the game. And I'm not saying kids have to spend hours and hours and hours on this, but just spending a little bit of time on is huge, just to get them kind of up to speed on what's going on and figuring out kind of what the plays are. On the ice, when we talk about hockey IQ, I think it's putting them in situations where they have to read the play. They have to figure it out. So, you know, putting them in kind of uncomfortable situations sometimes where maybe there's pressure on them. So they have to read the play and find their players. We talk about this all the time with on-ice awareness and stuff, but now they're looking. So, you know, the drill starts off with the puck coming in here and a player's on them. Now they got to look around and now they got to escape. So most players will come in and just hammer that puck up or down the boards, but they're not allowed to do that. They have to hang on to the puck and find their outs. And it can be really slow to start and really kind of controlled environment where maybe the coach is adding a little bit of pressure on this side. So that player reads it, doesn't give the puck away, and then comes around and then makes that play. Maybe it's a little bit more pressure. Now he's got to make a pass. So his player's on this side. He gets the puck, makes a pass to his player, but making them more aware. And I think one of the biggest things, I had a skills coach tell me this years ago, a young kid, and he said, the better my young boy was at skating and stick handling with their head up, the better they could absorb the game, which I thought made a ton of sense. If your young players can skate well and handle a puck with their head up, have you watched that thing? Pull that down. Yeah. Sorry about that. A little technical difficulty. Trying to keep the computer warm. But the better your players are at kind of skating with their head up, looking around, finding out what's going on around them, the more they're going to be able to absorb the game and figure out what's going on and become a way better player. So getting them good at young ages, I think, is huge for hockey IQ, hockey awareness, all that kind of stuff. The better their skills are, the better they're going to be able to absorb the game and figure out what's going on around them. All right. All right, I had another one here with evasive footwork. So I know that's kind of a broad topic, but when we think of evasive footwork, and we've got a video actually coming out in the next week on this topic, but doing it on an outdoor rink and how do you get better at moving your feet quickly and being evasive with your feet. And the easiest way to do it is obviously if kids can side stop. So if a kid can literally just side stop on both sides, then you can add a ton of different stuff with it. So last week we covered a bunch of stuff on jam turns and punch jams and things like that. So if you want to revisit that, you can check out the ODR, the outdoor live we did last week. It's all up there and kind of has a bunch of stuff on jams. And what a jam is basically a little cut and then coming around, or a punch jam is a 45, so coming around on the side. But if you look at evasive footwork, we think of stuff like, how do you throw an opponent off with your feet? So if a player's coming back on me like this, adding a little fake, like I'm gonna go this way and then cutting out the other way, right? And how do you practice that? How do you work on that? As simple as that, just coming down the ice and adding little turns like this, just turning your feet, and being able to push snow a little bit. So almost like a half side stop. You're trying to be light on those feet and kicking those feet out to the side a little bit. So just having players just working on that, and then you can add a puck to it, right? When we talk about deception, we always talk about our head and our eyes, obviously, our hands and our stick, and our feet. So if I'm coming in to get this puck and I had a little fake cut, now I can come around and then make my play. Same thing if I'm coming on the offensive side. So if I'm coming up this way on a player, I can look this way and then cut back the other way. But adding that little bit of movement with our feet is going to be massive. And the biggest thing with that is getting in a good hockey player position, being on the ball of our foot. So making sure we're on that ball of our foot, kind of that big bump under a big toe, and then just having players being comfortable, just shuffling side to side, moving their feet a little bit, right? And then we can get into stuff where we're faking coming out of it, all right? Adding Crosby turns where we're 10 and 2, so we're opening up our hips, right? And that's a whole other topic that we can discuss as well. But how do you get players to be able to open up their hips well and stay on their inside edges? But another great evasive footwork, you know, where you're protecting a puck here, opening up your feet, right? Or you're scanning the ice, looking around, you're able to open up and then make passes, make plays. So adding little pieces like that are obviously huge to any player's game, and we can break that stuff down if anyone's interested. But as far as just being evasive with your feet, the better you can get with your feet, it's going to throw players off all the time, right? You want a player just to kind of bite one way as you're cutting the other way, and that'll give you a little bit of time and space to be able to wheel, make a play, get a shot, make a pass, whatever you got to do to get out of that situation, right? So your feet are going to be massive, so having players work on that stuff. And you can set up simple little drills like, you know, if you have a couple cones or you have pucks or whatever you've got, right? But if you set up anything like that and have players coming into these cones, right? Don't worry about the net right now, but just having players come into these cones and just adding a little fake either left side or right side, doesn't matter. So if they're coming in here, fake one way, cut the other way. Come in, fake one way, cut the other way. And all they're doing is nice and low, cutting one way, So fake and toe caps one way, cutting the opposite way. And then you can add other things like Crosby turns around these. So coming around, opening up, coming around, opening up, and then just opening up their hips, right? Adding a bunch of different stuff like that, but super simple and just getting players to do reps on that and try to have some fun with it, obviously. All right. How you doing? Okay, won't go much longer. One other thing that I wanted to talk about today that came up a little bit in discussion was quick release shooting on the forehand. So catching and releasing pucks quickly. So getting passes and then getting shots off quick. And I think the biggest thing there for players is how do they accept the pass? So even before they get their shot off, even before they load a puck, before they shoot a puck, how are they at catching a pass? It's right in there actually, Kevy. So how do they catch a pass, right? So my hands are out front of me. If I'm getting a pass from where the camera is right now, hands are out front of me, and then I can cradle that puck, and right away I'm in a spot where I can shoot. I can still handle it if I have to, but I can release that puck a lot quicker. If it's coming across my body this way on the forehand, my hand's out here, I'm going to catch it. Now I'm right in that shooting area, and then I'm going to get that shot off. And if we think of shooting areas, we've got kind of three of them, right? We've got our forehand here, so whether I'm shooting on the fly like this, right, or beside my body, I've got my front here, so if I catch a pass, I'm shooting out front, or I'm one-timing pucks, or I'm catch releasing from here. And then we've got our backhand side. So maybe I make a play, bring it to my backhand, and then get my shot off. So those are the three areas that I want to bring that puck in order to release it quickly. So again, if I'm getting a low to high pass here, my puck comes in here, hands are out, I'm going to catch it, and then shot. If I'm on the side, hands are out like this. So now when I catch my pass, I'm going to cradle it, and then right away I can let that puck go. And then again, if I get it here and I want to go to my backhand, I get it here quick and then right to that backhand and let that shot go. And the other thing too is limiting sliding. So young kids do this all the time, but they get their passes with their hands like this and then they slide it down to shoot. I want to try to keep those hands set. So as soon as I catch, right away we can release that puck, kind of get it going nice and quick. Good? Okay. I'll take a couple shots off this, but and the backhand side we'll go through right now, but if you can get your players to pick up backhand passes, huge. Any coach out there, a parent out there that's listening to this, so many players blow up passes on their backhand. So when they get a puck on their backhand, they get it like this, and that puck ends up kind of bouncing, popping up, right? It flips up on you. So think of smacking on a puck. So when the puck comes across their feet like this, hands are set, they're going to smack back on it. So they're going to start away from the puck. So the pass is coming from over here. I'm away from the puck here. Pass comes across. I'm going to smack it and then get it set for a shot. So if you look here, I want to get that puck to my forehand as fast as I can. And then I want to try to release that puck nice and quick. So if I've got a pass coming across my body here, my hands are away, I'm going to smack set, and then right away let that shot go. So again, on that backhand, just going to smack it, smack, set, and then right away. On your backhand too, one thing to keep in mind, whatever angle that puck comes in, you're going to smack back on that angle. So if the pass comes across this way, you're going to smack back on that angle. If the pass comes from behind you, you're going to smack back on that angle. If the pass comes from in front of you, you're going to smack back up on that angle to try to get the puck set. Because if you think about it, the pass comes on my angle here, and I go straight at it, it's going to go out in front of me, right? So I want him to come back with that blade nice and cupped and square, and then smack back on whatever angle that puck comes into. And then on the forehand, same idea. And ideally, if players don't handle, so no stick handle obviously is the best. If they have to handle, no problem. But on a quick catch release, want to catch it and then right away shoot it. And you think about it, if the goalie's coming from, if the pass is coming from this side, you got a goaltender in the net coming across here. So if I can get it off quick, I may be able to catch that goalie moving as they're coming across that crease to address the shot. So again, my hands are addressed this way, so towards the pass. Pass comes in here, I'm going to catch quick and then shot. So catch it. The other big thing when I catch is cupping that blade. Especially on my forehand, I want to catch it, kind of scoop it in that curve of my blade, and then right away I can release it. So I'll just do one more here. So I'm going to catch here, catch quick, and then right away try to let that shot go nice and quick. All right. What's that? Okay, yeah, give her. Yeah, go.
Quicker transitions towards the direction of the puck or game by transitioning to keep up with the game. Quicker transitions.
Like how to do quicker transitions, probably?
Quicker transitions towards the direction of
Yeah, okay. I'm assuming, so the question is like quicker transitions towards the direction of the puck or the game. So what I'm assuming is if the puck's over here, right, how am I transitioning? And you'll see a lot of kids, like puck's over on this side right here, and a lot of the players will turn this way and almost get away. And that's going to leave a huge gap for that player to wheel with the puck or make a play with it, right? So what we want to do is try to, you know, close off as quick as we can. And one thing too is transition. So just for anyone who's not sure, transitions are anything like this. So forward to backwards, right? If I'm going backwards to forward, that's a transition. Or if I'm going forward to forward. So forward to forward, that's a transition as well. Anything trying to change in that direction, right? So if we think of transitioning, now one thing too with defensemen or even forwards, there's a toe first, heel first. So I'm kind of getting the weeds a little bit here, but if I've got a player coming down on me right here with a puck, okay? When I was young, old school, it was right away heels first and then backpedal back and make that play. Now what you see a lot in the NHL, they kind of squeeze is what they call it. So they're surfing. You'll hear a lot of these terms, surfing, things like that. But now I'm coming in toe caps first, pushing, and then I'm going to open up and then play it back. So I want to try to squeeze that play, kill that play if I can. If I can't, then I'll open up my feet. And the biggest thing for speed on transitions, especially if you're stuck in a tough spot, like let's say this player, there's a turnover and I'm coming up and right away that player's attacking me. Right away I want to get going backwards quick. The biggest piece here is crossing over. So when you transition those feet, you're going to push, you're going to pull with your inside foot. We kind of talked about this last week, cross, and then backpedal back. So if that player turns that puck over right away, quick snap, and then right away I can come back. And the last thing is try not to go up and down. So when players are coming toe caps first or heels first, just staying low, and then loading those legs, right? And if you're going to add a crossover, you're coming in, pushing it, quick cross, and then coming right back in. All right, great question. I hope I answered that. If I didn't, fire away and I'll recap on that a little bit too.
Two-parter here. What do you think the most important stick handling skill is for young players to learn? What is the foundation we as coaches should be teaching when it comes to stick handling?
It's a great question. I think the biggest thing, man, is for players to understand how to use their blade. So, sorry? Oh yeah, sorry. So the question was, what are some of the most important stick handling skills, and then what should we be teaching young players at the kind of the fundamentals, right? The biggest thing for young players for those fundamentals on stick handling or puck control is how to use their blade properly. So how to cup their forehand, how to cup their backhand, and their hand placement. This is one thing I'll come in close here. This is so important, and we see it all the time. Players hold their stick like this. So we have our thick part of our shaft and our skinny part. Our V of our hand, so that V of our hand should be right down that skinny part of our stick, and they're rolled over like that just because it feels comfortable. It's a better hand position. But what happens when they do that, now their blade, when they turn their hand, is way over here. So you can see my blade, when I turn my hand, it's way over there. So now everything's flopping off their hand, and they can't really use their backhand. So we want to get that V right down that small part of our stick, and that's going to allow better control of that blade. So that's number one. The other thing is hand positioning. So getting young players to have their hands in a good spot, and we kind of say hip width apart. We can go forearm, but then you got sticks in the air. So hip width probably a little safer. And then keeping them away from our body. So that's number one. So away from our body, hand positioning, right? And make sure our top hand's set. And then our blade of our stick. So teaching them how to roll the wrist down to cup their forehand, roll the wrist up to cup their backhand. And then I think for stick handling, less is more. We watch guys like Patrick Kane and stuff. They're unbelievable, right? But we don't really want our kids. Now, he's a special player. The NHL's got a ton of special players like McDavid and McKinnon, all these guys that do handle the puck a lot. But you look at a guy like Crosby, and he doesn't handle the puck a lot. He underhandles it. You see him do a lot of taps. So get the puck here, kind of tap, get it here, tap, and protect that puck. So I think a lot of times it's just the blade positioning and just getting through simple little stick handling movement patterns for these kids. Because a lot of times coaches will throw the pucks on the ice and, all right, stick handling, see kid just, and they're all over the place, right? Just going through simple little patterns. So if you want to number it, we've all seen the number system like a 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, if I had this number 1, this is number 2, this is number 3 up here, and then number 4 right here. So those are my 4 kind of stations. And I'd have my stick handle at number 1, up to number 2, over to number 3, and then down to number 4, and then back around. But getting kids being able to move all the way around their body is huge. And then the other big thing is just keeping their head up. So having players focus on keeping their head up. But even as simple as just pushing pucks. So for young kids, having them just push puck around the ice like this. They got to handle it, no problem. But just push, and then using that backhand of the blade too. So using the backhand as well when they're going the other way, just push, and and then lightly controlling that puck as they're coming in. So I think just keep it simple, but focus on the hand positioning, using that blade properly and keeping their hands away from their body so they're able to maneuver that stick around their body and are able to obviously handle the puck properly, right? But like I said at the beginning, I think less is more. So being able to stick handle around their body is huge. And then as they get better, then we can add quick moves where they're going from one side quickly across to the other, or backhand to forehand. And then that'll come into our puck protection and different things like that. So great question though. Thank you.
So the days of shooting 200 ally afraid shot shots in the driveway are over. If they have, assuming they have a device like passer, what are the most important
Yeah.
shots to practice at home?
So great question. Start off with a nice one, good reference to Ally Afraidy, but shooting like 200 slap shots in your driveway, which we all did as kids, just loading pucks up and hammering them. It's kind of in the past now, but what would be the most important shot if you're using them off a pass, and kind of how would you teach that? Is that kind of right? So if,
For kids at home,
yeah.
have one of those,
So for kids at home, if you have a passer, the biggest thing, I mentioned it earlier, so if you're not sure, just check back on when I was talking about quick release shooting, but is how you accept the pass. That's the biggest thing, because you'll see players coming in like this, and let's say I'm going to shoot this way, and I stop my pass here. Well, I can't really shoot that. I want to get that puck in a little closer to get a good shot off. So how they accept their pass is going to be huge. And I think that's a big piece of even practicing shooting. So even if you had pucks, and one little house keeping tip here, I talked about it in a video a while ago, but when players are shooting pucks at home or even in practice, I see this all the time. They'll stand like this or over their pucks. So now they got to go back. So real simple little housekeeping, but get them to have their pucks out in front of them, right? And then now they can stand back here, and don't let them rapid fire. I know back in my Ally Afraidy days, this is how I used to shoot pucks, right? I grab a puck and then I just shoot, grab a puck and shoot, grab a puck and shoot. Well, now set the puck up. So to start off without even having a pass, getting the puck set, puck's close to my body, and then I'm going to shoot. I'm going to push on that bottom hand. I'm going to snap it or slap it, whatever you're doing with it, get it set one at a time. And then if you're going to go off a pass, just accepting that pass properly. And I think getting your hands out, cupping that blade, and then releasing that puck quickly. So pushing down the bottom hand, driving that bottom shoulder as we're going through. Okay, so what type of shot? I think the most effective shot is snapshot, and I think it's quick, it's fast, you can release it really quickly. So I think, you know, the question was, what's the best type of shot to teach your kid? Off a pass, right? It's going to be your snapshot or your one-timer. And getting young kids good at one-timers is massive. We'll talk about snapshot here real quick. When I get my pass here, I want to get that puck in my shooting box as quick as I can. And then I want to pull that puck in and snap it. So I'm going to come in and snap nice and quick. And you think of guys like Kessel. So Kessel would come in, kind of holding the puck here, and then quick little snap. You think of a guy like Austin Matthews. He'll kind of pull his in almost like a wrist shot off the toe. So he'll come in like this, start out here. He'll maybe make a move, or he'll pull it in, and then right away let that shot go. So just getting pucks off quick on that snap, right, as quick as we can. And that snapshot, again, we can hold it right off the side of our body here. Don't let it go too far out front or too far back, and then snap that puck quick. So off a pass, same idea. So if I was getting the puck off a pass out here, I'm going to pick up that pass, right? Pick up that pass, get it set, and then right away I'm going to release. So get it set, and then right away release it. And on a one-timer, just like our slap shot, so one-timers off a pass, we're going to get it right between our feet and try to lean on it. Biggest thing there is trying to get players to sweep the ice and shoot that puck off the heel to middle of their blade. All right, so the strongest part of their blade, and take ice. So almost like you're sweeping the ice. So if that puck's coming to me here, I'm going to sweep the ice hard and then come down and release that puck. But if you can work on one-timers and snapshots, I think that's massive. I think that's huge. So those would be the two shots I would teach my kid. Plus, you think about a one-timer for power play, things like that as they get older, it's huge, because not every player is really good at hitting one-timers. So getting their technique down first is huge, and then that can translate into a bunch of different things. And when we think of technique for slap shot or one-timers, just hands away from our body, kind of hang them, puck comes back here, right? Our stick comes back here, trying to bend that arm, because that's going to add some inconsistency when we come down. So get that top arm or bottom arm up, try to keep it straight, and then you're going to come down on it, follow through, and then drive that puck to the net. So I'd work on those for sure, and then just feed your son pucks or daughter pucks and just try to get them comfortable with it. They're going to miss them, that's fine. The other thing too, once they get good at it, and you look at a guy like Ovechkin or Stamkos, they can hit a one-timer from their back foot all the way out to their front foot, where most players can only hit in that sweet spot here. They'll hit everything. And what you'll notice is a lot of players will catch it, kind of stop it and then hit it, where those guys will turn on everything and try to one time as much as they can. So
There's a comment that's saying there's still value. We were talking about the puck, still value in pushing and pulling the puck. Saying there's still value, and we want to touch on
pushing and pulling the puck.
Guys just shooting it here.
Yeah.
As they get better.
Yeah, that's a great. So the comment was there's still value in pushing or pulling a puck. So getting a puck from here, pulling it in, or pushing it. And I 100% agree. I think when I first started coaching and teaching, we had a lot of players holding pucks here, shooting it. But you got to add deception to it. And this is that's being deceptive. So being deceptive on a little handle then shot, or a little push and shot, or a pull and shot. So even when players are first starting out and their shot's getting good on a wrist shot, I strongly encourage those young players to start moving the puck, handling the puck. So getting it off a handle, getting it back, and then shooting it, or holding it in here, pulling it in, shot. I think there's a tremendous amount of value in moving that puck, or adding movement, or stick handling a little bit before you shoot. 100%. On catch releases, you can still add movement. So if I get the puck here and I'm on the fly and I get it here, I can still catch it, add a little bit of movement to it for sure. But some of those, ideally, if I can let them go quick, I may be able to catch that goalie coming across and be able to get them as they're moving. So, but I love that comment. I think you're 100% correct. We should be teaching adding movement to that shot a little bit, especially as players are developing their shots and getting better at them. Keep adding a little stick handle or that push or pull before they release that puck. I think it's awesome.
You mentioned the one time someone was asking, when do you bend the knees as part of the one time?
Like a one knee down type thing?
I think you just mean when.
Yeah. Okay. So the question was on a one-timer. So on a one-timer, when do you bend your knees? Like when do you start kind of loading your legs? So I'll set it up like this so you can see it. But if I'm getting passes, let's pretend I'm on the power play in the NHL.
Also another question.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I'll adjust two things. So when do you start kind of bending your knees on the shot, and then why do players go one knee down? So you see players going like this and kind of hitting the puck one knee down. So we'll talk about both of those. Bending your knees on the shot, though, obviously, if I'm in a game right now and I give and go, my knees are going to be somewhat bent. I'm not going to be standing kind of straight up. Now you do see Ovechkin kind of just waiting, and then he loads it. But you should be loaded as that player's about to give you the pass. You don't want to kind of load as the puck's coming to you. So if I get the pass here, I don't want to load my legs now. It's going to be too late, right? So I want to be ready. So as that pass is coming, and now I'm ready, and then I can follow through on that shot. All right, so I'd have players, if we're working on this, being ready right away, knees down, ready to hit that puck. One knee down adds a little bit of leverage. Yes, a lot of players use it when they get a bad pass, right? So maybe the pass a little bit behind them, they got to drop down to that one knee, so kind of back here to get that shot off. And you'll see a lot of players do it on the fly to the net and maybe a little bit lower to the back of it, or lower to the net. So if I think of like kind of top of the circles or hash marks down, so face off dot down. And what you'll see is a lot of times players will get it in here and they're going to come down and then try to get that puck up. So when they come in, we want players on one-timers or one knee down shots to drive down. And then now they're going to try to come up with that puck as they follow through to get that puck up over a pad or over a glove. So it adds leverage, adds a little bit more power. It's easier to get pucks up because you can kind of come back off that shot a little bit. And it also helps pick up bad passes. So if the pass is off a little bit, you can adjust and kind of have that leg down to add a little more leverage, a little more stability on that shot. So I hope that answers those questions on one-timers.
George asked to see a few slap shots. I asked him if there's anything in particular for that.
Okay, so slap shots?
He said, can I see a few?
I want to see some rippers. Okay, some clap bombs. All right. Yeah, and I'll touch real quickly on it, but I talked about it a little bit earlier, but slap shots, the way I teach them is hands out, kind of hanging out in front of you. And then we want that to stick. So if I'm in my snapshot or wrist shot position, I'll go down like 1 or 2 gloves. So think of the thickness of my hand. I would go down like 1 or 2 glove lengths down to get a good position. And the big thing here for young players is hitting that puck kind of in between our feet, anywhere in here. I'm going to drive down and not opening our blade up, but coming down and pushing on that bottom hand. The other thing too, if you can get your players to shoot a slap shot with their head up, massive. Right, but if I come in here, so I'll do a couple stationary, but I load my back leg, come through my front, drive my bottom shoulder down to the ice, and then follow through. So come in and follow through. Same thing, I drive down, follow through, shot, and then at motion, I'm just going to push it up. And as I address it, I'm going to try to hit it right in between my feet. So again, if I come in here, I push my puck up, I come in, step, and then shot on net off that. The other thing too is make sure the players are taking ice. So if I shoot my puck off the slap shot one time, or I want to hit behind the puck in here, one time or even a little bit more, but I want to make sure I'm hitting the ice first. So when I hit that ice, I'm flexing that shaft, pushing, and then following through on that shot. Don't worry about that board, actually. The board's done. Hope those are sick clappers for you. Yeah. All right, that was awesome. Is that it? Okay, that was great. I won't stay much longer, but a couple of things just to kind of wrap up. If you are looking for other kind of insight on this, we're going to post all this stuff up on Facebook and YouTube at the National Skill Development Association, so you'll be able to see all that or revisit it. And we also have a ton of other videos at National Skill Development Association. So if you're looking at any kind of videos breaking down anything from shooting, skating, puck handling, positional play, a bunch of different stuff. So if you're looking at finding out more details and more key teaching points, things like that, check us out at National Skill Development Association, and we got a ton of different stuff. Yeah, the other thing too, one thing I started doing with some of the players that we had in basically hockey players at home is doing live one-on-one sessions, but over FaceTime or even what's the other one, Zoom or anything like that. So any kind of video that we can use. But I had a young player on his pond, and we were doing some stuff for defensemen where we're kind of faking shots and adding little fakes and shots, and I was able to watch him, and then obviously he had his earbuds in, I had my earbuds in, so we could talk while he's doing it. It was awesome. We just set up a stand, put the phone on a block or whatever. It was great. So we'll be doing some stuff like that. I'll get more information on that, but if you're interested in anything like that, if you have an outdoor rink or access to a pond or lake, then we can do a bunch of stuff like that, kind of live, talking about different skills or different things that you're working on with your players or things like that. So, but again, National Skill Development Association, you can check out the website at theNSDA.com. So just the NSDA.com. And again, with tons of great stuff in there, podcasts, a bunch of stuff for hockey parents and resources and stuff. No, if we got a couple more, let's fire away. Might as well, right? Yeah. Okay, so wrist shots, I think for young kids, this is the shot that they should start with, right? Biggest thing with wrist shots is keeping that blade cupped. Starting the puck on the middle of our heel to middle of our blade. So kind of in this area here, and then we're going to roll it to that toe area. I don't like saying toe. I like saying mid to toe because we don't want players shooting off the toe of their blade, because realistically that blade's going to open a little bit just because that's the weakest part of our blade. But we want our hands in a good position, puck set. And for young players, try not to let that player load too far behind them, right? Or too far out to the side. Want that puck kind of about a blade length out of our skate and up and down a blade length. So always try to say load off the heel of their skate, and then they can follow through on that shot, right? So heel to middle, top hands up away from my body so I can flex on that stick when I shoot it. Start on the heel, push, and then to that middle. So heel, push, and then in the middle. Now, there's also a wrist shot from the toe. This is more advanced. We look at Matthews. A lot of times when he shoots that wrist shot, he pulls it from his toe and then just follows through. There's no snap to it. It's just a quick like swoop almost. So he comes in from toe here, and he'll pull it in and then just let that puck go. And how you know the difference between a wrist shot and a snap shot is you'll hear that snap sound. So snap shot's gonna have a bit of separation with the puck and the blade for a snap, whereas a wrist shot, that blade's kind of in contact with that puck all the time. So a couple quick little things there. Good hand positioning. Start the puck on our heel, transfer that weight from back foot to front foot, drive that bottom shoulder down, and then follow through on that shot. I hope that helps. Good question.
Thoughts on hip placement during tight turns, transitions, and edge work?
Yeah, so I think biggest thing with hips when you're doing this kind of stuff, you see some coaches that have players, let's say I'm gliding to my right side, so we're going to go this way. You'll have some coaches that have their players like their hips kind of trying to put their hips out. I think, honestly, man, just naturally letting players' hips follow them through. So if I'm going around this way, right, let's say I'm doing a glide this way to start, my head's going to turn, my shoulders, my stick are going to go, my hips are going to be under my body, and my legs are going to be in a good spot. So as I'm coming in here, I'm coming in nice and smooth, and my hips are kind of over top of those legs. I'm not trying to push them in or out. I'm just letting them kind of flow through it. When we think of Crosby turns, stuff like that, you have to have some flexibility in your legs and your hips. So in order to be able to open up, right, a lot of times players have a hard time, they do this and kind of that back foot gets stuck, and just getting them to open up their hips. So there again, we just want to open up hips. We want to stay kind of our shoulders over our hips as much as we can. We don't want to get caught too far over here. So as I'm gliding, if you think of it, I'm not leaning my hips out here. My hips are still over my body. I'm just on a glide, on a lean this way. So I wouldn't focus too much on popping hips out or in, just making sure that we're over top of them. And obviously they're going to be attached to it, so they're always going to be following us, but we don't want to be really thinking about popping them in or out. So if I'm doing a Crosby turn and my hips are under my body, I'm opening up, and then I can make that play. So really it's going to come from our legs. Our hips got to be able to open up with that flexibility with our muscles and our ligaments and stuff in our legs. We want to be able to open up, and players can get to it to open up those hips. You just got to keep practicing and working on flexibility and mobility and stuff, and they'll be able to start moving those things. Yeah, really good point. So again, my hips are, so the question is, what about keeping them square in transitions, which I think is a good one. A lot of times players will come in like this and they'll pivot their feet and they'll almost turn their kind of butt out towards where the play is, where we want to stay square this way. So again, my hips are still underneath my body. I'm not popping them out anywhere, right? So my hips are underneath my body, and then I'm going to cross over and come back, but try not to over rotate. So if you see kind of a proper, proper transition, my shoulders are staying as square as they can out front, my stick's out front, and I'm in like this, I transition, and then right away I come back, right? So if I'm teaching this, again, we don't want to overload players with techniques and things like that. So I wouldn't tell a player to like pop hips or move hips. I just say, keep your hips under your body. As soon as you transition, you're going to push, pull, and then backpedal back, but keep those hips square so you're not coming in and over rotating them this way. All right, good question though. It's really good because you see a lot of hip movement on transitions and stuff for sure.
Yeah, great one here for walking the line as a deep.
Mm-hmm.
Any advice on how to protect the puck, how to sell the process, walking the line in general, any additional fakes?
And for D, like honestly, for any young D right now and a parent, you got to grab a couple clips of Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes as well, but Makar's unbelievable. Watch how this guy maneuvers around the blue line. It's unbelievable, man. He had a couple of clips just last week on just stuff. He scored a goal on one and made a nice pass in the other, but it's unbelievable how he opens up ice. And the biggest thing, man, I say man, sorry, that's cheesy, but the biggest thing for any parent when you're working with a player, a D-man especially on the blue line, is get them to keep their head up. Like that is massive. And you look at a guy like Makar, when they come in, let's say he's walking the line this way, his head's up the whole time. He's adding fakes. And now he's reading what that defender's doing, right? So going back to the basics of the question is like, what kind of stuff can you add? Just little handles. So if I'm walking the line as a lefty this way, so I'm pulling the puck, what you see a lot of players do is that puck's way out here. So they have no control because they're trying to pull it with them. Get them comfortable. We talk about it all the time, keeping their puck on their hip. So whether they're getting a cross-ice pass D to D, right? They're getting it, now it's on their hip, now they can make a play with it, right? If they're getting a pass cross this way, they're picking it up, right away it's on their hip, and then they can make a play with it. So just keeping it on their hip and add little dips and little handles. So as they're walking on their, let's say going to their backside, they're going this way, they're adding a little fake, and dropping their shoulders like they're gonna shoot it. So drop their shoulders like they're gonna shoot it, pull it back, get it set again. And add those little fakes, it's huge. If I'm going this way, same thing. I'm walking this way, I can add a little fake, I can open up my feet, right? But just adding those little stick handles, but all the time, keeping your head up. And then what I would suggest if players are getting good and they're pretty elite, now you combine a couple different things. So now you add that little fake to a little pull across their body. So if I come in here and I have a defender, I can add my little fake and then right away across my body. Now I'm driving down to go to make a play. If I'm coming in on my forehand, right this way, maybe I add that little fake, I cut back, or I add that little fake, and then I drive wide, right? But adding, kind of blending one or two skills together, opening up. The move Makar did the other day, though, he was walking the line. So let's say my net's this way, right? He got a puck here. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but came in, he added a little fake. That player went down on one knee to block, which is totally fine. So the defender was like this. As soon as his leg dropped, Makar cut back this way, opened up, and then wheeled in. And on his way to the net, he faked the shot, slid it back door. It was sick. Like, it was unbelievable. But it was just all watching the defender eyes up. Didn't matter what he did with the puck. He just had to sell that shot. So as he's walking here, he sold the shot. Guy's knee goes down. He stops, comes around, opens up, and then drives in. It was sick. So any kind of movement on the puck is huge. But again, all comes down to eyes up, head up. Even slap shots, like faking a slap shot, eyes up, getting around, making a play. Massive. Good.
When taking a shot, facing the net when shooting versus turning your feet like on a wrist shot. Pros and cons of turning your feet.
Okay. So the question is pros and cons of turning your feet when you're shooting. So if I'm coming in for a shot here, kind of shooting it, or turning my feet to shoot it. And I think this probably would be addressed more with young kids. A lot of young kids, they're going to have way more power loading their shot from back foot to front foot. So if I'm driving in as a young kid, I'm coming in like this, and I turn my feet and then let the shot go. It's way easier, way more power. But ideally, we want players to shoot in stride, so toes going to the net, shooting as they're skating towards the net. Maybe they're going to cut like east-west. So if the camera's the goaltender, maybe I'm coming in this way. Connor McDavid does this all the time, cuts across, and then shots. So now I'm going to have my feet square to the net again, but I'm moving, right? So getting players comfortable just starting off stationary, transferring that back to the front foot, and then adding some movement to it. So now you're going to come in and shoot with some movement this way, or you're going to shoot coming into the net straight in, firing it in, right? So getting our feet continuing to the net. I think all of them are really important, but the movement part is going to be added as you get better and better and better at your shooting, right? So I would work on all of it, but I think a lot of times as you get older, when you turn those feet, you're going to slow the game down. You're going to slow your shot down. If you have time, no problem, but it's going to be longer to load, longer to get off. So you want to get that puck off quick. I would advise against turning our feet to load the shot. If you're coming in stride, try to shoot it in stride on your way to the net. I think that's the biggest thing, especially as you get better. So
Quick feet, tips, and drills.
Quick feet. So we always hear stuff about quick feet, right? Everyone, like, you hear stuff all the time about gotta get faster feet, gotta get faster feet. If you're teaching your young player, your son, daughter, or you're coaching a team, biggest thing with quick feet is snapping your toes. So if you think of like how to get quick on your feet, right? A lot of players are heely, so they're on their heels a lot, and that's slow. Try running on your heels or walking. You want to be on the ball of your feet. I tell players all the time, think of like sneaking out of your house, which no one does, I know that, but sneaking out of your house, you're going to be on the ball of your feet, right? You want to have quick feet. If you're doing a speed ladder, you're skipping, you want to be on the ball of your feet. So get on the ball of your feet and snap your toes. So if you're working on quick feet, it's just that quick snap, 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 and then taking off. We adjust a bunch of quick start stuff, breaking it down last session, so I won't do that today, but we don't want to get on our toes. We want to be on the ball of our feet, and we're going to snap that toe, snap that toe, snap that toe as we're taking off. But if you look at like little quick feet drill, I'll just do it with pucks, keep it real simple. But we've all done like a large W drill or a V, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. But where you're coming up, so you're coming down here, right? So you're going to come in, transition here, come back, open up, come down here, transition, right? Super simple. What I would do now is I would tighten this up. So I'd add my pucks here, or pylons, whatever you have, and I would tighten them up real tight and force players to just get comfortable with their feet and move their feet nice and quick, right? So this is a simple little drill we've done a ton with players. But basically, I'm going to come up. I'm going to try to add one, maybe two, and that's kind of an overcrossing, I know that, but trying to get their feet moving fast, open up here, transition, open up there, coming back. So we start off here. I'd come up, quick little transition here, quick cross, right away come back up. Come in, quick cross, right away come back up. And then we can add another cross. So two crosses there, one cross down. So coming in here, quick, 1, 2, cross, one coming up, coming back, 1, 2, and then coming back up until I spray my pucks all over the place. But something like that where they just got to really work on speeding their feet up. You can make it as big as you want or small as you want, but as you know, start off big and then tighten it up as you go. But anything they can do just to add a little quickness to their feet. Last week we talked about just putting sticks down sometimes to have players take off quickly. And don't stay jumping over stick. You're trying to get their feet going quick, almost like a speed ladder on that start. So adding little things like that to the start of a drill or when you're practicing at home would be huge. But anything that are going to get players to snap their toe. So every time they're pivoting on a transition or a quick start, they're snapping those toes, trying to get those toes or trying to get those feet off the ice nice and quick. Good? All right. Listen, we're going to shut it down for today, but I want to thank everyone who checked in and any questions or the questions that came in are awesome. So thank you very much. And if people like this, we're going to try to do this maybe weekly until this thing melts. But I know right now where we are, we're in lockdown, so none of the rinks are open anyway. So we're just trying to do some stuff, keep people kind of talking about hockey and having some fun with it. So we'll try to maybe do these once a week, kind of in the next couple of weeks until we get the rinks open and start get going again. So. What's that? Questions his dad said his 11-year-old. Oh, no way. Defenseman hijacked Jamie's son. Okay, awesome, man. Well, that's great. I don't know what Jamie's son's name, but yeah, man, if you do have kids at home that want to jump in on this, feel free. And if they have questions, they're the ones that are doing this stuff and playing, obviously, and working on their skills. Have them ask some questions. And, you know, maybe even if we will do this again next week, weather permitting, if everything's good. We've been lucky the last 2 weeks, but if everything's good, we'll do it again next week. So if any of your kids have questions, ask them. Hey, what are some things you want to work on? Or you know, and maybe it's a scoop in the puck, or it's a Crosby turn, or it's a fire the puck off a one-time, whatever it is. Ask them some questions, and then feel free to have them jump on, hijack your phone, and we'll get some more questions. That's great. Yeah, so I will post this on YouTube at National Skill Development Association, and I'll post it on Facebook as well. So if you want to take a look at it or look through it, go ahead. We did a live last week as well. So there's another posting of the live last week with which we covered a bunch of different stuff like quick starts, some good D questions in there as well, some shooting stuff. And then I also talked about a couple like opinions on different skills and how to teach them and stuff like that too. So yeah, it was great. We had a lot of questions too, which was awesome. So this has been great. So yeah, hopefully we'll see you guys again next week. And thanks a lot for checking in. Really appreciate it. And enjoy the rest of your weekend. Yeah, awesome.